to stay in their air-conditioned homes this morning, huh? Good morning, good morning. I'm Reverend C.C. Coltrane, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Greater Dayton, where we are about growing that which within us, which is divine, about letting it out into the world. We're really glad you're here with us this morning, and especially if it's your first time, a special welcome to you, and thank you for sharing your morning with us. On your bulletin cover, there's a little tear-off strip that you can use to give us your contact information so we can let you know how to get in touch with you about events that are coming up, because there's always something going on around here, 7 days a week. So just fill that out, take it over to the Welcome Center after the service. They have more information for you and can answer any questions you might have. Not only welcome to the newcomers, but welcome to some old friends who moved back in the area. John and Joni Spain. Yay! After a sojourn to New Mexico, they are back in Indiana. Yep. Are you in your house yet? Barely. Well, I tell you, moving is hard. Our pulpit assistant this morning is Lana Mayhew. Our vigil holder is Jerry Blumgold, and Lana and Stephanie Stewart will be doing our interfaith candle lighting this morning. They are all licensed prayer practitioners who bring to our service a high consciousness and an open heart. They hold the high watch for us during service, and thank you all for being here. Before we move on, I just want to tell you about the extra envelope in your bulletin. It's green. The white one is the usual, which is for your giving to support our ongoing work here at the center. The green one is for a special purpose, because I think most of you know we are celebrating 70 years in the Miami Valley this year in September. And to honor our past and our future, we would like to ceremonially burn our mortgage at the September celebration. And you can see we've raised a third of what is left on the mortgage, and we need to raise about another $7,000 is all. We're that close to being mortgage free, which is amazing. So the green envelope is an invitation to make a second gift in addition to your contribution to our ongoing work to the Burn the Mortgage Fund. You can just put that in the offering basket as it goes around at the same time you put in your regular envelope. At this point in the service, we always take a couple of minutes to greet each other, and so we don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. If you are not in the mood for a hug, just put out your hand for a handshake or stay in your seat. Otherwise, you can bet you will be hugged. You will be hugged. We're all about just letting each other know how beloved we are. So we'll do that for a couple of minutes, and then we'll come back and sing our opening song, which is Put a Little Love in Your Heart. It's on page 50 of your music book if you don't all remember it, but I think most of us do. So let's greet each other.
We light this candle in honor of Judaism. We shall beat our swords into plowshares and our spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. But we shall sit every one under our vine and under our fig tree, and none shall make us afraid. We light this candle in honor of Confucianism, the ancients who wish to illustrate illustrious virtue throughout the kingdom first ordered well their own states. Wishing to order well their states, they first regulated their families. Wishing to regulate their families, they first cultivated their persons. Wishing to cultivate their persons, they first rectified their hearts. Wishing to rectify their hearts, they first sought to be sincere in their thoughts. We light this candle in honor of Buddhism. When we realize that the world is a mutual, interdependent, cooperative enterprise, that human beings are all mutual friends in the process of birth, suffering, old age, and death, then we can build a noble, even heavenly environment. We light this candle in honor of Islam. Cloak yourself in 1,000 ways, and still I shall know you, my beloved. Veil yourself with every enchantment, and yet I shall feel your presence most dear, close and intimate. I find your face in ivy that climbs, and clusters of grapes, and morning sun on the mountains. In the clear arch of the sky, you gladden the whole earth and make every heart great. You are the breathing of the world. We light this candle in honor of Christianity. This is a message that ye heard from the beginning, that we should love one another. Let us not love only in word, not in tongue, but in deed and in truth. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear. We light this candle in honor of Taoism. Returning to the source is serenity. If you don't realize the source, you stumble in confusion and sorrow. When you realize where you come from, you naturally become tolerant, disinterested, amused, kind-hearted as a grandmother, and dignified as a king. We light the final candle in honor of first people, O Great Spirit, whose voice I hear in the winds. I ask for wisdom and strength, not to be superior to my brothers, but be able to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make my hands respect the things you have made, and make my ears sharp so I may hear your voice. So the reading today, Rose-Colored Glasses by Ernest Holmes. To assert our individuality is to rise above the law of averages into that more highly specialized use of the law of mind, which brings freedom rather than bondage, joy in the place of grief, and wholeness instead of sickness. We cannot do this unless we are first willing to judge not according to appearances. So if you can just take these words into that centered place for a few minutes, contemplation. So how good it is to be in this place of peace, in this place of love, of the Most High, where God resides, right where we are, right in the midst of absolutely everything. It is at the core of our soul. It is interwoven through the tapestry of our whole entire being, because there is absolutely no way to be separate from this power. This power is breathing us, beating our hearts, living through us, as us, and around us, in absolutely every single thing that we're doing in this day. And so I know that this service is in divine order and divine right action. I know that there is this complete peace and love that every single person that walks through these doors feels that love and acceptance and beauty, and knowing that we are here serving God right now. And so I know that every aspect is perfect. It's perfectly ordained. And I give such thanks for this. And together we say, and so it is.
I love that Israel Houghton song. That's a great song. We are still standing. So our July theme is loving kindness and forgiveness, which of course is one of the things that we see in our global vision, a world where loving kindness and forgiveness is the norm, and where it's just who we are and what we do. That is part of our global vision, and as obviously as a world we have a ways to go, right? As a country we have a ways to go. As individuals we have a ways to go until that is the norm. At least I do. Maybe it's just me, but I know that I have a long way to go where the norm for my behavior is loving kindness and forgiveness. I find myself sometimes reacting with judgment and anger rather than responding from loving kindness. I get to the forgiveness a lot more quickly than I ever did before, but it can still not be my first reaction when I think someone stepped into my lane, so to speak. But in order for our country and world, for all of life to fulfill this vision of loving kindness and forgiveness being the norm, we have to make it our norm as individuals. That's where it starts. It's the reading from Confucianism I just love. You know, he wants to create an illustrious society, so he starts with the state. And he wants to create an ordered state, so he starts with the family. He wants to create a better ordered family, so he starts with himself and goes from mind, or from behavior to heart to mind, down to the very beginning of things, which is, how are we thinking? How are we thinking? We don't see anything out there until we see it in here. And it's not so out there until it's so in here. And so what we're doing this whole month is exploring ways to live from loving kindness and forgiveness all the time. Practices that help us do that. So today's topic is rose-colored glasses. And there are two meanings to that old saw, that adage, I think. The first is that, you know, sometimes it's said in derision that we're wearing rose-colored glasses. We're seeing the world through a rosy glow and happiness abounds. So how can we get more of that? That's one thing, right? But the other part of it is, if your name is Rose, you wear rose-colored glasses. I wear Cece-colored glasses. She wears Lisa-colored glasses, and she wears Lana-colored glasses, and she wears Kathy-colored glasses. Every single one of us has glasses that are shaped by our own experience and belief. Our paradigm creates the lenses that we wear. Anthony de Mello, who was an amazing guy, was a Jesuit priest, but he taught in Pune, India, and so he really easily, I think, bridged the two worlds of Catholic Christianity and Hinduism. And he told this little story about a student asking his teacher, "Why is everybody so happy except me?" And the teacher said, "Because they have learned to see goodness and beauty everywhere." And the student said, "Why don't I see goodness and beauty everywhere?" And the teacher said, "You cannot see outside of you what you fail to see inside." So our proverbial glasses wearer Rose, what if she sees only weakness and inadequacy and fear inside herself? What she will see outside are things that make her feel weak and inadequate and fearful. And if I, through my CC-colored glasses, see only my anger and frustration on the inside, then what I see out there is more things to be angry and frustrated about, right? If I focus on my own imperfections, I see everybody else's imperfections when I look out. If we see things through that lens of our own paradigm. And Sean Covey, who's one of Stephen Covey's kids, said, paradigms are like glasses. It's that glasses thing again. When you have incomplete paradigms about yourself or life in general, it's like wearing glasses with the wrong prescription, he said. That lens affects how you see everything else. So it's spiritual learning and spiritual practice and spiritual growth that lets us change the prescription that we're looking through. It lets us change the color of our lenses. First, we have to learn the truth about ourselves and really experience that truth. That truth that when God created all that exists, it spread itself throughout that creation. And so that means me too, and each one of you. That there's a spark of divine inside of us that when we look from it, we see it everywhere we look. But when we look away from it, we don't see it at all. We don't see it at all. So we practice. We practice, right? We practice, we practice, we practice. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, wrote in a little book, this thing called You. The barriers between you and your great good are not barriers in themselves. They're things of thought. It is because of this that all things are possible to faith. Jesus summed up the whole proposition when he said, "It is done unto you as you believe." So we practice believing in our own goodness and the goodness of others. We practice seeing our own beauty and seeing it in others. We practice loving people with kindness. We focus on our own power of forgiveness. We practice seeing things differently. And it's not an easy thing. Which brings me to that second point. Rose-colored glasses are not a bad thing. They're a very good thing. Rose-colored glasses are an amazing thing. We're given the power to shift from yuck-colored glasses to rose-colored glasses simply because we're here. We have that power. We're born with it. We just don't know about it, right? We have the power to say, I'm going to see things the way I want to see them. I'm going to look for what I want to see in the world. This is the place our whole life happens, and this is the place we can change the color of the lenses we're looking through. A friend of mine, a colleague, was talking about going out to brunch after service with a group from his center. They do it every month, and on the second Sunday. And this particular second Sunday, the restaurant was very crowded. And so they had to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And my friend was grousing about it. You know, he got really upset, saying things like, "We're a big group, they ought to be paying attention to us." Well, so they finally got seated and they ate. And at the end of the meal, or near the end of the meal, one of the people in the group had a violent seizure and passed out. Right there at the table. And he was surrounded by people who stood up and started to pray. Others who went to get the paramedics. Others who helped make him comfortable. It occurred to all of them that had they been seated when they first walked in, this guy probably would have been driving home when he had that seizure. And you can imagine what could have happened at that juncture. So my friend said, wow, maybe I need a new paradigm about this stuff. That unfolded in perfection. Why don't I just trust life a little bit more and understand that when things aren't going my way, it's okay. It's okay. What if we started to look from our intention to remain loving and kind and forgiving about everything that happened in our life? Bump in the road or high spot. On a more personal note, I grew up with a lot of resentment and angst towards my oldest sister. You know, I've told you all before, my mother had a meltdown when I was a kid and just was not present at all. And then she actually went away. She was living and working on the Navajo reservation 3 weeks out of the month. And so while she was gone, my oldest sister took over and did with us, or to us, depending on your perspective at the moment, what had been done to her. It was not pretty. I can just tell you it wasn't pretty. And she, you know, she's really smart and she's really sarcastic, and I have very thin skin, and so I really didn't want to be around her because my feelings were hurt a lot. And one day after we were adults, I said, you know, I've been intimidated by you my whole life. And she got deathly pale and quiet, and her eyes filled with tears, and she said, I have always been intimidated by you. That made me stop and take the lenses and turn them around and look differently at the situation, and realized that I was seeing out there what I was experiencing in here. I was seeing someone to be intimidated by, and I needed to get new lenses on that relationship. And you know, things started to crack open, and our whole relationship has changed from that moment on. And when I started to look at her through my inner eyes, what I saw was someone who was very, very brave and strong and funny and beautiful and smart, and now I get to call her friend as well as sister. And it was just that changing of the lenses. Wearing rose-colored glasses is a good thing. It really is a good thing. When we decide we want to use those lenses when we decide what we want to see in the world and then start looking for it, we find it. We find it. We have an intention to see from loving kindness and forgiveness in what we do. We start to become loving and kind and forgiving. And then we see it everywhere, because as we do it, we call it forth in the world, and it starts to increase. Again, our founder, Ernest Holmes, we're surrounded by an infinite possibility. It's goodness, life, law, and reason. It is expressing itself through us, and in so doing, it becomes more fully conscious of its own being. As it passes into our being, it becomes automatically the law of our lives. The law of our lives. So the nature of the law of our individual lives is determined by what's in here. By what's in here. And the law of our lives determines what we experience, what we see, what we create, what happens in our world. So we change the law of our lives by making a conscious decision as to what we want to experience, and then we true our whole being to that, to what it is we want to experience in the world. We true our whole being to it. If we want to see a world of loving kindness and forgiveness, we have to true our own being to loving kindness and forgiveness, to that vibration, to that harmonic, if you will. When we catch ourselves acting in a way contrary to that, we have to correct it. It's that simple. We're not bound to continue what we're doing. We have to stop and change direction. Apologize when we need to. Forgive again and again and again. And then act in loving kindness. See, we cultivate this ability to see our own basic goodness, our own divine nature, our own perfectly individual, unique, precious way of expressing the divine. We put on our God-colored glasses, if you will, and look out at the world that way, from the heart, and then we begin to see a world that's based in love, that's based in forgiveness, that's based in kindness, that's filled with beauty. And that's how we change the law of our lives. It's how we change our experience. It's the way we change our world, because our world is simply our collective idea of what it is. So one more Ernest Holmes quote, and then I'll quit with the quotes. To assert our individuality is to rise above the law of averages into that more highly specialized use of the law of mind, which brings freedom rather than bondage, joy in the place of grief, wholeness instead of sickness. We cannot do this unless we are first willing to judge not according to appearances. We cannot look out here and make a determination. We can only look in here. Judge according to the truth and not the appearances. And, you know, that phrase comes from, of course, from Jesus, who is perhaps our greatest teacher here in the West. And he knew it wasn't an easy task to do. All of the great spiritual teachers have said, this takes practice, kids. It takes practice, continued practice. I mean, look who Jesus was dealing with. People who were judged to be ill, people who were judged to be greedy, people who were judged to be insane, people who were the Pharisees, spiritually judgmental and egotistical, people who were power mad. And yet his constant lesson was judge not from the appearance of the outer, but love thy neighbor as thyself. Take yourself out of the law of averages and be what you want to see. He said, if you're angry with your brother, don't even think about making an offering to God until you've forgiven and resolved the situation with your brother. Do not resist evil, he said. Love your enemies and pray for them. Set no bounds to your love. Forgive others, trust God. Over and over he said those. Don't judge. Treat others as you would like them to treat you. Seek to serve, not to be served. And in dealing with people those around him judged harshly, like the woman at the well, or the Samaritan, or the woman who washed his feet with her tears and dried them with her hair, he was loving and kind and forgiving regardless of appearances. And yet even our greatest teacher wasn't perfect. Remember the fig tree? It wasn't fig season, and he wanted figs, so he blasted the tree to death. Doesn't that sound familiar? Don't we do stuff like that all the time? This inanimate object, computers especially, is not cooperating with me. I hereby, I'm going to blast it into the dark, outer darkness, right? Jesus had a bad day. He tore through the temple, overturning tables and driving out the money changers and the dove sellers. And he said, Father, Abba, please take this cup away from me. He was not perfect. Even that great teacher was not perfect. In the penultimate moment of his life, however, when all of us would sort of expect him to be bitter and angry and frightened, he said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Whew. All of the great spiritual sages of the world say the same thing. Practice, practice, practice. Judge not according to appearances, but judge from the spiritual heart. Be loving and kind and forgiving to everybody. Judge not according to appearances, because what appears to be true to us might only be because we've got our CC or Chris or Carol colored glasses on. It is not the truth. It is what I see through my paradigm. What really is true can only be seen with the divine eyes of the heart, not through the paradigm of human life. Be loving and kind to the world. Why? Because getting to the place where we respond with love and kindness and forgiveness means we have also come to the place where we know our own loving nature, where we know our own power to forgive, where we know our own kindness and beauty. Forgive everybody all the time. Why? Because when we forgive, what we're forgiving is our own judgment based on appearances, right? Our own resentment, our own whatever it is that we have chosen to hold up as what they did to us, whatever that is. And that means we're letting go of one of the things that keeps us from changing the law of our lives, from moving out of the law of averages into some new place. Some people have difficulty with this whole concept because they think I'm suggesting we become doormats, and that's not it at all. I'm suggesting we become spirit warriors. I'm suggesting we become those strong, humble, full people who know that the way to pierce through the veil of illusion, the way to uncover the truth of life, is through loving kindness and forgiveness. Through knowing what's really within ourselves. The way to see where that veil is to take off your old glasses. The ones that are clouded by your own doubt and your own shame and your negativity, and put on your rose-colored glasses. Put them on. Those rose-colored glasses are divine eyes. Look at the world through those eyes of love and kindness. And then tell others what you see. Spread the truth. Speak the love that you see when you look through your divine rose-colored glasses. Don't keep it inside, because the world needs it, and so do you. So right now, let's just take a moment in consciousness to come together and to take a breath. And realize that God is breathing us, and that we are God breathing. For there is no separation. There could be no separation between us and this life, this power, this presence that flows through all existence. It is in the very air around us, as well as in the middle of our being. It is in every cell of our bodies. in every leaf of every tree. It is in all those strings that the physicists talk about that come together to create. We can never be separate from it. And it is never separate from us. It is all that we are. And so I know that each one of us realizes that on a very deep level and chooses, using the amazing power of the mind that we have been given, to gather those strings of love and kindness, of forgiveness, blessedness, joy, hope, faith. We gather those strings out of this infinity of strings and bring into being by our actions a world where loving kindness is the norm. A world where forgiveness is simply the fact of the matter. Where letting go of resentment and grudge is just a breath away. That is the place where each one of us is creating that world that works for all life. That world where we live in joy and peace and oneness. Where we see each other as the manifestations of God, as our reading said, in bunches of grapes and ivy that climbs in each other's faces. That world where we live from our divine hearts and see with our divine eyes. I know this for each one of us, that we do that today a little bit more than we did yesterday. That we instantly forgive ourselves when we lapse into judgment. When we look from our old paradigm, we simply put it down and start over with joy and hope and faith in our hearts. And how grateful I am for this truth, for knowing this about each one of us. How grateful I am for this community and the light that it represents. How grateful I am for this life, so filled with God, so filled with love, so filled with joy. And in deep gratitude, I release these words into the infinite law that has already said yes to us, that always says yes to us. Yes, my beloved. Yes, my beloved. Yes, my beloved. So letting it go, we know that it is so, and we say together, and so it is.
I'm just a thread, a simple thread in this glorious web of life.
We are all just drops within a stream, flowing towards an ocean of light.
We may forget where we come from, we may forget where we're going to. I might not see that you're a reflection of me as much as I'm a reflection of you. I am just a seed, a blessed seed with eternity unfolding in me. And I pray that as I grow, I will reveal the love that illuminates my soul. When I remember where I come from, when I remember
now have an opportunity to give in support of our community, and of course in support of our Burn the Mortgage drive if you so desire. I know that you all realize that that's what supports us, is your gifts and contributions, but there's more to giving than just paying bills. Giving is the way we sort of step into the flow of life and realize that when we give from that place, which is a place of fullness and love, we are saying yes to the abundance of the universe. So I invite you to step into that place of open-heartedness and generosity and trust in the flow, and know with me, my heart is open.
My heart is open.
I give from my open heart.
I give from my open heart.
I know that as I give, I am given to.
I know that as I give, I am given to.
And I am grateful.
And I am grateful.
And so it is. Great song by a member of Bodhi Spiritual Center in Chicago, Levi Christ. It's a fabulous song. But you know, you just rocked that. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, our anniversary celebration, I want to tell you a little tiny bit about it. It's going to be fabulous. On Saturday, September 24th, our licensed prayer practitioners will offer a spiritual Saturday where you can get your pets blessed, you can walk a labyrinth, you can receive prayer, you can learn about affirmations, you can create vision boards, and a whole lot more. It's going to be a wonderful day. And then on Sunday the 25th, our movement's spiritual leader, Dr. Ken Gordon, will be with us. He will speak at Sunday services and then join us for an elegant brunch. You may have received a postcard about the brunch this past week. RSVP is required, so we've got a seat for you and enough food. If you didn't get a postcard, there are a few extras over at the Welcome Center, and it tells you how to RSVP. If you would like to help us in the final stages of planning and putting that anniversary celebration together, please join us at let's say 11:50 in the classroom, which is right around the corner, where the old bookstore used to be. If you can't make that meeting but still want to help, just let me know, and we will. There's lots of things to be done up to and the day of, so just let me know. If you look at the very back page of your bulletin insert that says Hot Summer Fun, you can see a lot of the things that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. The first one that I need to tell you about is a Dayton Dragons game on August 14th. Sure.
I just want everyone to know that
Have a mic.
I just want everyone to know that there are sign-up sheets. It's right on the top of the Welcome Center, right under the sign. We're trying to get as many of the names on it before Monday that we can, so I can call them. Yes, this Monday. So I can call and get all the seats reserved. The Dayton Dragons Stadium fills up quickly. We're all going to be out in the Dragons Lair. It's only $13 for a ticket. You get a free $18 hat. So it makes it a nice deal, and we're all going to be together. If you bring kids after the game on Sunday games, they get to run the bases, and that's really fun, and you can do it with them, and Heater and Jem are out there to slap their hands, and some of the players and stuff. It starts at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so you get home early. It just makes for a really fun afternoon. There's parking all around the area, usually about $3 to $5. We're going to try and collect all the money as of next Monday, not this Monday, and get that into them. You can make out checks to the Dayton Dragons or cash, whichever you'd like. And I'm here today. I'll be doing count and close, but if you want to give me money for it, I'll mark you paid on this, and we'll take care of that. So tickets are going to go fast. Space is going fast out in the lair, so please sign up today or tomorrow. Call it in or call me at home. My Kenny's number's on the back of the bulletin, and there's a little information about it and the sign up right there. Have fun. It's going to be a great time.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so it's August 14th is the game, and you need to sign up today or tomorrow, and you need to get your $13 per seat in by next Sunday or Monday. But what a deal. You get a hat and more than that. So next Sunday after the service, we'll have what we call our Find Out More class, which is a class for people who are interested in finding out where we sort of came from, how we sprung up, what we stand for, and about becoming a member. It's a short class. It's a couple of hours right after service. So you can sign up over on the bulletin board under the Find Out More class. There's a list over there. That would be great, so that I make sure I have enough lunch and information for you that Sunday. Speaking of lunch, there's food and Dorothy Lane bread in the social hall. So when you leave here, go on in there, grab a bite to eat, and grab some bread to take home. It is there for you to take home. Also, next Sunday afternoon is a miniature golf scramble at Indian Trails on David Road. That's right around the corner, right? Yeah.
Yeah, David and Display Lane.
Yeah, just right around the corner on David Road. You can talk with, yeah, it's behind Skate World. You can talk with Gary Victor for more information about that, and his number is on the last page of the bulletin insert, as well as more information. So the only other thing I want to, well, two more things. I just want to remind the women in the house that there is a workshop for women here on August 6th with Cynthia James. The price of admission is simply to go to the bookstore and buy a copy of her latest book, which is doing extremely well on Amazon. She's extremely fabulous. So she will also speak on this at the Sunday service on August 7th. But if you're interested in a really transformative workshop, it's that Saturday, August 6th. Today I want to recognize somebody, she is still here, who's been tireless in her service to this community for a long time. She started Consciousness Cafe. She's involved in the Animal Spiritual Connection Ministry. She's also one of the most loving individuals I've ever met. Sherry Buckner, thank you. Thank you for all that you bring to this community. I absolutely adore you. You're fabulous. Thank you. Sherry is an amazing lady. If you don't know her, you're missing out. The last thing is, if there's some area in your life where you would like prayer, and we all could use prayer all the time, just after the service, walk up to any one of the individuals who's wearing a white or teal prayer shawl and just say, I'd like prayer. And they will take you off into a little bit more private area and give you what we call a 1-minute miracle of prayer. If you're having a really big challenge, you can also talk with a practitioner about a full practitioner session. It'll change your life, I guarantee it. You can also put a written prayer request in the prayer chest, which is back by the door there, and I think there's a card in your bulletin that's a prayer request. You can just fill it out and put it in that box. The practitioners pick it up and will pray for you all week. And Marge Russell, who's not here today, but she asked me to mention that every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. there's a group that gathers all the way in the back before the 9:30 discussion group to pray together. So take advantage of that as well. It's a wonderful, wonderful prayer. Changes our lives. Thank you to everybody who made our service possible this morning. Our ushers and greeters, all of the practitioners, the welcome team, the Consciousness Cafe team, the amazing Higher Mind Band. And all of you, thank you so much. So let's stand for our closing affirmation and our closing song, which is Holy Ground. But first, please repeat after me. Today I see with the eyes of my heart.
Today I see with the eyes of my heart.
Love is what I see.
Love is what I see.
In my heart.
In my heart.
In my mind.
In my mind.
In my world.
In my world.
Life is rosy.
Life is rosy.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Have a great week, everybody.